So today I found myself sitting in my driveway this morning for about 5 or 6 minutes, just idling in my car. And my hand was hovering over my phone and I was scrolling through Spotify as usual. And I realized I was trying to find the perfect combination of songs for my 30-minute commute to work. Isn't that ridiculous? It's the top of my workday. I have a 30-minute commute, and I've already come up with a pointless task for myself. I gotta make this drive as good as I can. And once I caught myself there and I realized what I was doing, I realized, oh my god, like this is actually how I do everything. Like, dude, how many other things in my life do I do this way? What other parts of my life am I trying to min-max and get the most out of? Like, it's cool to be productive and like want to get the most out of every situation, but it makes me think like, dude, like how many things am I stressing towards? How many things am I allocating my mental gasoline towards? It can't be healthy at a certain point. It just can't be. I mean, like, bro, let me paint a picture for you. I was genuinely sitting in my car, actually stressed that if I didn't pick the song that hit exactly right, that was exactly perfect for the drive, if I didn't queue up the perfect album, I'd be wasting those 30 minutes of my life. It would be all for nothing, apparently. And keep in mind, I'm driving to work. I have to drive anyway. What's the point? Like, I'm already setting up my day. Like, if the music was only okay rather than perfect, the drive was a failure. I've effectively turned my commute, the one time I'm actually supposed to just be still and the task is just go and be alive with a pulse, turned it into a task that needs to be optimized for maximum enjoyment. And I just find that to be so funny and so ironic, because I probably spent about 2 hours last night and probably multiple hours throughout the day just doom scrolling on my phone on social media. And if you guys are anything like me, you definitely do spend a good time on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or whatever it is. You probably spend a good amount of time there, and it's probably time you wish you could get back once you finally close the app. And it's weird because I spend time on YouTube Shorts or what have you, and I feel like garbage afterwards. Trust me, like I definitely do, and I definitely have a problem with screen time, but it's weird. I didn't get that same guilty do or die, I must optimize this time feeling. It was really more so mindless, whereas when I was sitting in my car this morning preparing for my commute, well, I was on full 100%. So upon putting some time into it and really thinking about the psychology of this, I realized if I'm wasting my time on purpose, I don't feel guilty. But the second that I try to be intentional about my time, all of a sudden I put this massive pressure on it to be, I don't know, like I guess a peak experience for me. Which is stupid. Like, why am I getting this weird productivity OCD around my intentional time where it's a net positive no matter what I do? And then when I'm doom scrolling, it's more of like yeah, you win some, you lose some. And I feel like a lot of people in this day and age could probably relate to that. You know, I feel like a lot of the burnout and a lot of the turmoil that I see on people venting on social media, or even along my friends, we've reached this point where it almost feels like we can't exist in the gray area of our lives anymore. Now it's just everything's curated. It's an experience. And if it's not, then it feels like a waste. It feels cheap. You know, something that I feel like social media and the internet has really inducted a lot of us into is that now we're conditioned to think about our lives, not in terms of, oh, like I'm living, I'm trying to exist, and I'm trying to get from point A to point B. But now we're thinking about them in terms of our return on investment of our time. You know, we don't just go for a walk anymore casually with our girlfriend. Now we got to get our steps in to optimize our health, which is cool. I respect that. And if you're talking to anybody who likes to get those steps in and optimize their health, I'll probably do laps around them. That's how neurotic I am about it. I respect the hustle, but it's crazy because now we're just in this optimization culture where, you know, for example, we don't just read a book. We consume content. We have to post what books we're reading. We got to make a fan club. We got to make a book club. We got to make a whole bunch of productivity centered around the enjoyable task. And don't let me be a hypocrite. I play video games. I play zombies. I play Call of Duty. I record it because I want to make a video, not to just enjoy a game of zombies sometimes. I bought this professional studio grade microphone, not so that I could have higher quality when I'm talking to my friends. It's so I can make videos. I mean, bro, think about how we treat all hobbies now. You don't just play a game like this for the hell of it anymore. Now you're checking your KD throughout the match. You're looking at whatever the most meta class setups are for Call of Duty or Battlefield or what have you. You're trying to unlock the next thing, the next mastery camo. You know, we've killed the concept of, I guess, being bad or maybe novice at things in our lives. And don't get me wrong, that's probably introduced like just a higher technical skill among each individual person at different hobbies and tasks. It's also taken away just enjoying something and being bad at it. You know, like it's like if there's no XP bar, there's no progress meter, and there's no stat for us to track, it feels like we're not doing anything. I mean, look online, look around. Everywhere you look online, someone's telling you how to be the best version of yourself. Look at my channel, look at half my videos, it's all about self-improvement. And there's a lot of people out there that watch this type of content because they actually want to be happier and to bring themselves out of a negative situation. But there's also a lot of people that are just queuing up this type of content because they want to improve their information diet and gain a lot of intellectual or emotional XP. Optimize your sleep, optimize your gut health. Optimize your morning routine and splash that really expensive water in your face. Be more productive. Be more present. You know, it's exhausting. It's gotta get exhausting after a while, trying to be the best version of yourself all the time. You know, because that version of you is a guy who never gets to just exhale, just rest, just be. We're scrolling through our feeds and we're constantly being sold this idea that if we're not constantly ascending in our own personal bubble, then we may as well be falling behind the rat race. And you might be like me and think like, oh no, but I like it this way. I like the productivity. It makes me feel good about me. That's good. But it's very, very important. This applies to everything in your life to set a healthy boundary. You know, if you're at the point where you're struggling to just sit and enjoy yourself, if you feel like there's this weird static, I guess, background noise of anxiety, where even on your day off, you're stressed out, if you feel like you should be doing more on your day off in an unhealthy way that's ruining the whole day, you might want to balance this better. Because I mean, listen, like compare that to 2014 or 2016. Back then, you know, I didn't have a brand. I didn't have a strategy for my life. I just had, I guess, kind of a crappy headset, a lobby full of people on Skype that I didn't even know, and I was just there enjoying myself. You know, I wasn't trying to optimize any experience. I was just having the experience. You know, it gets us trained to just be obsessed with this blueprint of what our life should ideally look like, and that makes it so that we can't see the life that we're actually living in front of our eyes. You know, we're building a picture perfect life with massive expectations in our heads. You know, that could be the perfect weekend, the perfect date, the perfect relationship, the perfect career, the perfect friend group. And then we get like annoyed or pissed off when the reality is just real. You know, I'm not trying to do this motivational slop where I'm just saying, oh, lower your expectations and you'll never be disappointed. But maybe take some time to really think and take some inventory on what real expectations looks like. Because I mean, like if you break it down and you're blunt about it, none of us asked to be here on this earth. We didn't sign some type of productivity contract to be, I guess, the protagonist of our world. You know, we were just dropped into 2026 with a bunch of societal expectations that we didn't quite choose. So maybe we should stop acting like every minute is a high stakes performance. You know, why are we so afraid of being average? You know, I'm a perfectly average guy. Yeah, I got things about me that I'm proud about. I got things that my friends and my girlfriend and my family would rant and rave about. But if you met me on the street, you'd be like, oh, that's a pretty average guy. And he's got some curly hair. That would be your entire impression. And I don't know, this all kind of links back to that experience I had in my car where I realized you don't have to have everything optimized. Maybe there's some peace in realizing that you don't have to be important or have a good experience at all. You don't have to be anything. Doing your best and showing up doesn't always mean being the best. You know, sometimes doing your best just means showing up, doing your job, and being a decent person to the people around you. You know, it sounds corny to say, but it's okay to have a mediocre Tuesday. You know, it's okay if the song you picked for your drive was just okay. You know, it's fine to spend a day being completely unproductive without feeling like you've actually committed a war crime against your potential. Because your potential isn't a debt you owe to the world. It's just a thing that you have. You know, I guess overall, the goal isn't to reach some final optimized state where everything's just perfect. The goal is just to slow down enough to realize that you're allowed to just exist in your life. You know, take the day for what it is. If it's good, great. If it's bad, let it be a bad day. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with being a human and just having a human, normal, or bad day. But yeah, that's essentially the entire point. But also, I wanted to let you guys know, I am opening up, I guess, the quote-unquote digital mailbox for these videos. If you guys have been feeling any type of pressure in your life, dealing with a hard situation, whatever it might be, let me know in the comments. Or let me know on Twitter or X if you want to call it that, or Instagram, or even on Discord. Everything's linked in the description. If you guys want to reach out to me, and if you're comfortable, I'd love to make a video about your problem and try to give you some advice. I'm completely fine with keeping everything anonymous. I want to help you guys out in a very direct way, and I feel like responding to comments can only take things so far. Because I mean, I enjoy making these videos, and I do it for me predominantly, but I also love helping you guys with problems and interacting with you guys, giving you advice. So if you want to be featured in a video, just let me know. There's plenty of ways to reach out.